So I've had to design a lesson sequence for primary school students to create and design a passive solar house that follows the Stanford D model of creative design. So the Stanford D model allows people to think creatively while they're designing a solution for a product, and gets people to think about who they are designing for and why more thoroughly. So for my lesson plan, I had it designed for grade 3 students. So for them, they had to design a 3-bedroom guest house. Only had to implement shading and positioning elements of passive solar design. Had to be 8.5 by 4.5 meters, and make a 3D model out of construction materials for their artifact and the final. For myself, I had to upscale it to make it more appropriate for my age level, as I am 28 years old. I had to design a full house, 2 bedrooms, bathroom, kitchen, laundry, office, and a shaded area outside using passive solar design. I had to implement all aspects of it as well, instead of just some of them. It had to be a maximum of 13 meters by 15 meters with the shaded areas. I had to create, instead of a paper model, I had to create a 3D model of the house, and that demonstrated its lighting elements as well as any ways that it cools itself naturally. So the Stanford D model starts with the empathize stage. So I had to learn what passive solar design is, how it works, what its benefits are, and why people would want to use it. So I found it heats and cools housing passively using natural elements to save money on energy usage and carbon footprint. The next stage is define. So this is where I had to learn about who my clients are and what their needs are and how to apply what I know about passive solar design to their needs. So my clients require a more complex criteria than my students, as well as a more complex mission statement and hazard report. So my client needs a new house for their plot of land, wants to be able to heat and cool it cheaply, wants to reduce their carbon footprint, needs to have 2 bedrooms, bathroom, kitchen, lounge room, laundry, office, and a shaded area outside. So my mission statement is an actionable goal to assist me complete my task. So I will design a house for my clients that can regulate the heat with passive solar design to reduce their carbon footprint and save them money. So for my risk assessment for the students, not going to be anywhere near as complex as this or as detailed. But yeah, these are just the major risks I found and thought would need to be addressed. So the ideate stage, this is where we start to brainstorm ideas, think about everything we've learned about passive solar design and also everything that my client needs and wants in their house. So I started off by brainstorming a bunch of ideas and jotting them all down in place, everything that I wanted to use. I started by designing just simple layouts. I learned that from my research that the sun always rises, is always on the north in Australia. So you place the bedrooms and the lounge rooms on the north side to take advantage of the winter sun to heat your houses, these rooms more easily, because that's where people are going to be spending most of their time. You make it so that the house is long ways from west to east. So again, to take advantage of more sunlight from the north. You can have deciduous plants and trees because they have leaves during the summer, which block out sun naturally, and the leaves fall off during winter, which allows more sunlight to come in, heating it more naturally. So for this one, I used deciduous vines on a pergola. I also found that placing windows on opposite sides of the house creates an airway so that the air travels through the house and straight out, which cools it down more naturally and quickly. And I found that it's best to place an outdoor area on the south side of the house because that is the more naturally shaded area. For the next slide, I looked at shading from the side. So I learned that the sun is at a higher angle during the summer and a lower angle during the winter. So if you use angled roofing and eaves, you can effectively block out the sunlight, the summer sun, keeping your house cool. And During winter, if you place them at the right angle, the sunlight will come through the windows and heat the bedrooms and lounge rooms more easily. I also learned that heat rises up and that you can place upper windows to give somewhere for the heat to escape during the summer. These are the north and south side views of my houses. These are the types of windows. So if you have a larger windows on the north side, that allows more cold air in, and smaller ones prevent hot air from escaping. So this will keep it warmer. This will keep it cooler, and as well as roller blinds, which will completely block out the sun, especially if they are black. So after generating ideas, I had to then pick two designs and then move on to the prototype stage. So my prototype stage has two parts. One is a drawing, 2D drawing, and the other is a 3D model. So the good thing about this stage is it allows you to have a far more detailed look at what your designs are without committing any too much time or resources to the final one. So this is design one, which uses a patio out the back. This is the top-down view of it. I changed around a bunch of stuff with the bedroom placements. This is an example of the airways where they go straight through the house. This is the second design that I chose. Got the pergola at the front to allow sunlight in during the summers with the deciduous vines, and a patio out the back with a more shaded area. And I realized I could put on solar panels at the north side to take advantage of that. It's just a nice little layout of the house, more complex. So this is the second part, which is making a 3D model. This is what me and my students expected to do. Probably wouldn't get them to bother with the light simulations or windows, just have the 3D model to see it before they make the final one. So at this stage was when I saw realizing this house wasn't as good as the other design. It has a lot more areas where sunlight can get in. I would need a lot more trees, plants, shading. Also, there's too much wall space, which is really bad for heat retention during the winter. And this is the one where I was realizing this is probably the best design. It's got less wall space or retain heat better during the winter. It has lots of nice shading and ways to cool down. And so at this point, both of these models are just blocks. There's nothing inside of it. And I couldn't test anything out more thoroughly. But I chose this one as my final because I believe that it would match up with my client's criteria the best. So for the test stage, this is when we make our final model and test out how it works and evaluate how well it works. So this is my final floor plan, incorporates all the rooms that the client requires. The sun is always on the north, so the bedrooms have been placed on the north side to better heat them during winter months. I've got a concrete thermal mass has been placed on the front and also at the base to absorb heat during the winter and distribute it during the night to keep the house more naturally. The windows are placed on opposite sides to allow for airways to cool down the house during the summer. Less windows and smaller windows on the east and west side prevent heat from escaping, and pergola with deciduous vines at the front to block out sun during the summer. And then allow more sunlight in during the winter. So this is a better vantage point of the model, as well as the base. So this is my 3D render. As you can see, you can see an actual demonstration of how the physical air will actually travel through the house in and out, as well as how the shape of the house will allow for heating the hot air to escape out during the summer. Here is a 3D render. So what I did was I made the kitchen lounge room one big open area because this is where people are going to be spending most time in the lounge room, and having it one big room will allow it to cool down a lot more. And I also removed the wall between the bathroom and the laundry. For the winter, as we spoke about, the sun is at a lower angle. It is roughly 30 degrees, and as you can see, it comes straight through right in the windows and As you can see, sunlight comes straight into the bedrooms. This will heat it up during the winter. And same thing for the summer. It comes in at a roughly about 78 degrees. It comes straight down, hits the roof, and reflects off on both. So yeah, once again, it will prevent any heat, all the sunlight heat from coming in during the summer. And we can also have, as you can see, roller blinds, which will block out the sun even further, keeping the house nice and cool during the nighttime if needed, or daytime. Here is the sheltered south side patio. And this is showing that it measures up to the client's measurements needs. So it is just under 15 meters, just under 13 meters. It is to scale. It is not just made up. Does my design meet my client's needs? So the house contains all the required rooms. It will save money as the house uses passive solar design to heat and cool itself, meaning they will not need to use as much electricity. The reduction in electricity will reduce the couple's carbon footprint, and the installation of solar panels will create carbon neutral energy for when they do not need to use it, for when they need to use it. So that's how I approached this lesson plan for myself as an adult, expanded far more than what I was expecting my students to do. So for this final one, they would just be making a paper model of theirs. I wouldn't really expect too much of this. I would want them to sort of demonstrate it with like a torch, but not have like big 3D rendered models and all that. So that's how I have done mine. And